Okay, so we will start. Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar Gender and Agroecology, organized by Erasmus Project Med Caravan, the Mediterranean Caravan, Learning and Sharing Agroecology. I'm Inês Costa Pereira from F Ciências in Portugal, one of the countries partner in the Med Caravan project, along with Budgay from Turkey, Zelena Transitia from Serbia, HSEP from Croatia, Urgency, the international network of local solidarity-based partnerships for agroecology, and the NGO DEFAL from Italy, the project coordinator. The Med Caravan project aims to share the agroecological knowledge of the rural communities in the Mediterranean basin through the creation of the practical guide for collecting agroecology knowledge, a curriculum for learning and training different agroecology topics, and an online platform inside the Urgency website where those tools can be found. It is a pleasure to introduce our webinar on gender and agroecology, focusing on the Mediterranean basin, where, as in other places, women from rural and agricultural areas often have lowest quality jobs, are less well paid, if paid at all, while dealing with difficulties, inequalities, and discriminations. Women experience the effects of the rural areas' marginalization as limited access to services, training, social, medical, and cultural facilities. In some countries, are also victims of gender-related discrimination, ranging from social ecological pressure, relegated to the domestic sphere, to legalized discrimination in issues as inheritance and access to real estate. Although object of inequalities and discrimination, women are a key element in the dynamization of the territories and at the core of the response to Mediterranean challenges such as food security and the preservation of rural ecosystems. Our speakers will share their experience working with women, mainly in the Mediterranean region. Thank you so much for your availability to be here with us today. For today's webinar, we have previously asked our speakers 3 questions and a picture to illustrate each one that they will now share with us. They will all, by alphabetical order, answer the first question, then the second, and then the third. The translations in Arabic, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish are available in the bottom at the center of your monitors that looks like a world. You just have to click and select your language. Now, Carlota, also from Ciências and from the Med Caravan team that will moderate this webinar with me, will present the 3 questions and your speakers, our speakers. Thank you so much and hope that you enjoy.
Thank you very much, Inês. So to start, we will ask our speakers to explain their work related to gender and agroecology, then the challenges they had found developing their work, and to finish, inspirational stories, projects related to gender and agroecology in the Mediterranean. At the end of the question round, we will have a Q&A. So please use the chat to place your questions, indicating to which speaker you are directing the question to. But before we start, I'll introduce our wonderful speakers by alphabetical order. So Cristina Mar da Costa is an agricultural engineer with a PhD in agronomy, and a master's in integrated pest management, a professor at the Agrarian School of the Polytechnic Institute of Viseu since 1995. Between 2000 and 2007, she was the deputy director of the National Agronomic Research Station, and her research and teaching activities range from agroecology, environmental economics, and indicators, especially in the context of family farming, ecosystem services, gender in farming. She advocates that the use of pesticides is unsustainable, and when she can, she's also a beekeeper. Emmet Dirmenji has worked in the field of seismology for 14 years at the Technical University of Istanbul. Since 1995, she's been supporting the recognition of the social ecology movement in Turkey and in the world. Emmet is the co-editor of the book Social Ecology and the Right to the City Towards Ecological and Democratic Cities. She is one of the first permaculture certificate trainees in Turkey and taught permaculture in New Zealand, the US, Cyprus, Greece, and Turkey. In 2006, she did her second master's degree in gender and development at the University of Melbourne, Australia. In 2007, she established with the refugee and new migrant women leadership in Wellington, New Zealand, the Innermost Gardens, an urban food forest for which she received the Peace Ambassador Award by the UN. She's the author of Women and Nature, Feminist Discussions in Ecological Transformation, free to download online. Isabel Álvarez Bispo is the daughter and granddaughter of peasant women, a rural inhabitant, an agroecologist, and has been an activist for food sovereignty for 20 years. She's currently one of the co-presidents of Urgency Network, and in Spain, she is part of Baladre, Coordination of Struggles Against Social Exclusion. For the last 8 years, she has been working with agroecological projects, mainly through training and research. In this context, in recent years, she has been focused on incorporating the ecofeminist perspective into the agroecological perspective. Laura Tabet is co-founder of Nawaya, a community-based organization in Egypt that supports women-led enterprises in the heritage food sector. Laura leads partnerships and farmers' video production at Nawaya and is a partner of Access Agriculture, an international NGO that promotes video-mediated learning in rural communities. Laura has a true passion for networking and knowledge sharing, is a part of local and regional networks that promote agroecology and food sovereignty. And now, I pass the word to Cristina Mar da Costa for the first question round. How does your work relate to gender and agroecology?
Hi, good afternoon to you all. First of all, thank you for inviting me. So I started working with family farmers since 2000, more or less, and working with them in Portugal, where you expect to have all the statistics, all the modern things, because we are in Europe. Suddenly we found that behind the men, there were always women collecting information, keeping the knowledge, taking care of the family, but they didn't appear in the statistics, they didn't appear as the owners of the farm, so they were invisible. And they were the owners of a lot of knowledge, a lot of resources that we know now that are very important to keep agriculture and food safety as we know it. So since 2010, more or less, we decided to have some projects focused on women farmers, those women that are invisible and that need a voice and that need to appear in the space or speaking. So that's what I'm doing. And as I came from an agronomic pathway, and I was working with crop protection, trying to help people to use less pesticides or not to use them at all. So most of the work that we are doing is trying to help these women not only to become visible so that you can value their work, you can value what they give to the society in terms of economic, of social, and the environmental issues, Also, we wanted to help them to make this agroecological transition, keeping what they already do that is good, namely in terms of the soil care or the biodiversity care, but also helping them to abandon what they are not doing not so well, like the use of pesticides. So this is more or less what I've been doing in the last 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. I'll pass the word now to Emmett. Please, if you could share with us the work you've been developing related to gender and agroecology, please. This is a really beautiful picture, Christina. Thank you very much. Emmett? You're mute.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, yeah. I'm coming from a peasant family background, traditional self-sustainable family background. Until 14 years old, I used to live in a village that we have grown our own food 99% sufficiently. Then I have moved to Istanbul for higher education, but I always had a close connection with my village. And wherever I go, I try to grow food, and connection with the people and the community was the first action for me wherever I have migrated. I'm interested in gender equality since early age, high school times. And then I have studied gender and development when I have migrated to Australia. In Turkey, my home country, I'm living now, of course, gender injustice is really high because of the cultural values and religious values. Women's voice is not heard, especially in rural areas. In public spaces, they are very invisible. When I was teaching permaculture in the rural areas in the last 14 years, always I was encouraging women to be at the first speaker, or even in the educated group. They were really less talkative, less action oriented. Actually, this slide is not the first one, but I can speak with this slide. Now the previous one is the woman in the as a family farm, and people are doing farming together as family farm. Anyway, that one more up. So anyway, not this one, not that one either. As they were doing traditional farming. Actually, I can't see that slide. Anyway, I can.
Maybe we should not.
Yeah. I can continue. Okay. Yeah. I can continue my speak. I took some notes. As gender, since I have studied gender and development, gender is beyond our biological sex, as most of you know. I would like to quote by Simone de Beauvoir. One is not born as woman, but rather becomes a woman. So cultural norms and social construction is really important in this context. Since gender roles defines tasks, functions, positions, cultural and economic factors in public and private, women's position is far lack of getting any respect under a strong patriarchal and religious values, which is strengthened more, and also their appearance in public places to express their ideas. Since Turkey is heavily urbanized, almost 70% now, urbanization, people have moved from rural areas to the big cities, metropolitan areas, especially Izmir, Ankara, Istanbul is the biggest migration area. But people are still keeping in touch with their villages or with their land if they haven't sold yet. This also means small family farming started to disappearing very fast in last 20 years in Turkey. People became dependent on the market economy and industrial food system. Women migrated to the big cities. Proudly, most of them are keeping in touch with their land if they haven't sold, as I previously told. They are preserving food, canning food for their winter needs. But most of the grains are coming from Africa, Canada, whereas Turkey used to be one of the self-sufficient country until 1990s. Because of the neoliberal politics of our government, we are dependent on the other countries now. Women's gender roles, I would like to emphasize more.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Emmett, but you need just to ask you to finish for this first question because we have very little time. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, I can type very quickly then. Although some conscious ecological small family farms are appearing in recent years, neoliberal politics of capitalism grow or die, disarming traditional small farmers. And most of them are already disappeared, except the urbanization and other factors are expresses of petrochemical-based necessities in mainstream farming. Women's disposition of the empowerment is the main issue for Turkey in urban and rural areas. That's all for the first question. Thank you.
Thank you. Isa, now please, if you could share with us. I think you're still muted, Isa. Thank you.
Sí, muchas gracias. Bueno, muy breve. Bueno, antes ya me han presentado. Y bueno, lo que tiene que ver con el trabajo, con lo que tiene que ver la construcción agroecológica, personalmente, bueno, en los últimos años, bueno, además de muchas cosas que han comentado las compañeras, hemos trabajado bastante en, bueno, en no dar por hecho que los espacios agroecológicos son igualitarios, ¿no? Porque parece muchas veces que el hecho de hacer agroecología ya se da por hecho que como, bueno, entendemos que hay que articularse, que tenemos que trabajar en colectivo y, bueno, parece que con eso ya tenemos resueltas muchísimas cosas y lo que vemos es que nuestras propias organizaciones y nuestros propios espacios agroecológicos muchas veces no están exentos ni de desigualdad ni, por desgracia, muchas veces de violencia incluso, ¿no? Entonces, en ese sentido, creo que es importante el trabajo, por lo menos que yo hago o que intento hacer, es sobre todo, bueno, trabajar con mujeres buscando formas de identificar las desigualdades, porque muchas veces estamos tan metidas, ¿no? En el, bueno, ahí la imagen, en el mundo patriarcal en el que vivimos, ¿no? Que nos cuesta ver incluso, bueno, cuando somos tratadas de manera injusta, ¿no? Porque muchas veces se han normalizado mucho las violencias y las desigualdades, ¿no? Bueno, yo vengo de una familia campesina, vivo en el medio rural, he puesto esa foto ahí en mi casa trabajando pues bueno, arreglando mis puerros y mi huerta. Y creo que es todo parte de lo mismo, ¿no? O sea, que al final la transformación empieza desde el ámbito privado, desde cada una de nosotras, pero también, bueno, articulándonos con otras y trabajando juntas, ¿no? Y visibilizando y, como comentaba la compañera, trabajar para que todas tengamos voz, ¿no? Y creo que es importante incorporar esto como tarea, como dimensión agroecológica también, ¿no? Porque todavía yo no percibo, al menos en mis ámbitos de trabajo, que la igualdad esté al mismo nivel que eliminar los agrotóxicos o que trabajar en colectivo, ¿no? Entonces creo que ese es uno de nuestros trabajos, o por lo menos es en lo que yo principalmente intento enfocarme. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Isa. I'll pass the word now to Laura, please. Laura, could you please share with us how does your work relate to gender and agroecology, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura from Egypt. I grew up in the city. I'm not from a rural background, but our family moved from Cairo because it was getting hectic living in Cairo. We moved to a countryside area about 45 minutes drive from Cairo, and it's called Saqqara or Abu Sir. And while it's close to Cairo, it's still quite a traditional rural area and has a lot of high levels of poverty despite all the tourism activities that are happening around it. So we moved there in the early 2000s. And after the 2011 revolution, in the past 10 years, we've been really working on how to create a more inclusive tourism model, something that can really benefit the small-scale farming communities in the area where we work, mainly through ecological farming and cooperative work. And we thought, well, food tourism or gastrotourism could be a great marketing mechanism where we can really highlight women's skills in the region, whether it's cooking or processing traditional products that are honestly skills that are disappearing quite fast. And we wanted to create a project where we really put women at the center of local community and tourism development based on these heritage foods. And I mean, in Egypt and everywhere in the world, junk foods and industrial foods are taking over, even in the villages. And in Egypt, we have some of the worst diet-related, disease statistics in the region. And it was just a bit difficult as Nawaya wanting to promote ecological farming or agroecology. Well, how could we really imagine this when the farmers themselves are not producing healthy food for themselves anymore, and they're not eating healthy foods anymore? And the younger generations are just rejecting anything traditional. They want the packaged foods with the fancy packaging and the international Western dishes, the fried chicken, the burgers, all of that. So for us, we were like, okay, well, it's kind of an easy entry. I know it is what it is, but women do cook, and it's an easy entry for us to engage with women. And we realized that if we wanted to create this model, we needed to tackle this big topic of nutrition at home, and also being able to serve healthy meals and raise awareness on how healthy these traditional products are. Of course, in Egypt, a lot of the regulations wouldn't allow for these kinds of small home kind of productions of cheeses or breads and pickles. So we really felt we needed to work on that. How do we do that? Well, I'm not from the rural area. We need to engage with people. So what we did was create videos. Of course, it was COVID as well. And videos, often in agroecology, we talk about co-creating and sharing knowledge, but videos really allowed us to do that because we would work with women that are more knowledgeable or had the benefit of participating in more nutrition programs in the past that could really talk about nutrition in their own words, and that had kind of taken heritage foods or traditional recipes and given them a bit of a twist with more vegetables in them, seasonal vegetables and less oils. So, our role as a local NGO was to help create those medias. We're not saying that, farmers or women or, should be making the videos, but working with them to really, in a participatory way, allow them to share their knowledge. And in this picture, you have like a video screening, so you can see the video in the background. And it's a video screening that's led by our rural youth team. We've identified women in different villages that are kind of our anchor. We work in 3 different villages to help share healthy recipes and kind of show the videos and pause and engage in a discussion with women, start to see the women that still have recipes from the time of their grandparents or great-grandparents, and have a real discussion about that, because a lot of women in Egypt can't read or write, and they don't really have access to internet. So sometimes we take it for granted to learn new recipes, but these shows have been quite effective in helping people, cook new things, and not only cook new recipes, but really see other women that are just like them and putting them kind of at the center of their own development, not only for solving health problems in their own homes, but also eventually reviving these recipes and maybe gaining an additional income through a more community-based tourism. So just to conclude that the kind of videos that we made and making videos in a participatory way and sharing them in a participatory way has been one of the main ways we've been working on agroecology with women.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. So now we are going to start round 2 of questions, and I will ask you all to speak a little bit slowly because of the interpreters, so that they can translate the important message that we are sending here. So now for Christina, or to start with Christina, the challenge found in developing the work that you are developing. Christina?
So the challenges, so usually when you think about challenges, you think about what is more difficult for us. So I would say that one of the things that is at least taking more time than we thought it was needed is because we need to find a common understanding between what is our vision and what these women want. That usually is not exactly aligned with our perceptions. So we have a project where we are working with 2 communities in the north of Portugal based on the theory of change, which means that we are trying to achieve something that they want for themselves. And one of the things that was very difficult was to them to explain to us what would they see for their future. Because when we are thinking about giving visibility to these women, to giving them the space to have the speech in front of everyone, to assume their position in the society, first of all, we need to know if they want to. So it's not easy to make them visible when most of the time or at least part of the time, they don't recognize that they are not visible. And this is usually also very difficult to implement together with the time that we have for the project, because for these activities, we need to have someone sponsoring us. And usually the projects are 1, 2 years, 3 years, and this is not enough time to work with these communities. And because we need to gain their confidence, we need to make together these perceptions, theirs and ours, and that takes a lot of time. I would say that has been the thing that is more difficult for us. Also, their daily time is not equal to ours. So they wake very early in the morning, and they have always a lot of things to do all day until they go to bed in the end of the day. If we want to, one of the things that we are trying to do is create associations with these women. So we want them, they told us that they wanted to go back to the old times where a lot of things were shared with the community, namely the work in the fields. And for that, we need them to be together at some time of our action. And that's one of the other things that is very difficult. They live apart, distance one from each other. It's not easy for them to move from one place to the other because most of them don't have cars. So we need to find ways to move them to all of them to the same place at the same time. And it is difficult to find the same time because one of them is taking care of animals, the other of the vegetables, and the other of the kids and the old people in the family. So those are the two of the things that are difficult. Maybe there are others, but these are the ones that I'm remembering now.
Thank you so much, Christina. And they are really challenging. So now, Emmett, can you please slowly explain the challenges that you found so that we can give time to the interpreters to translate? Thank you. You're mute. You're mute. Yeah.
Challenges I found in recent years, most of the farmlands are occupied or in big mining companies became invasive to occupy the farming lands. Women are really active to protect their own food growing areas. The picture recently at the first round you have seen a woman in the Black Sea region is one of the group member is fighting against the military and police because early morning they came to occupy the land. These women go to the land to protect their own they are mostly beekeepers and hazelnut growers. One of the main area to grow hazelnut in the Black Sea region of Rize. These women didn't want to see any mining companies in their own valley. It took almost 2 years now, their resistance. But one of the big challenge, these women are upfront of the moment, but they put the banner saying that we came to defend our grandfather's land. I really have a serious critics to this sort of messages, because they, instead of saying grandfather's land, they should say we came to protect or defend our own land. Women are putting themselves in visibility again. Even physical activities or mindful activities, putting their risk or years and years at the upfront. The messages are so important. In Turkey, I'm raising this question, this critics, because without the feminist politics, this women's effort is really less valued, will be less valid in even in near future. That's all my big challenge from ecofeminist perspective.
Not just that, that's huge. So now let's hear Isa. Isa, you speed up as you go speaking, so habla despacio, por favor, and tell us your challenge. Thank you.
Lo intento. Bueno, gracias. Yo, bueno, diría que los principios, bueno, para mí hay como dos retos principales, ¿no? Uno, el entender qué significa construir desde nuestras diversidades, el entender que la diversidad supone asumir de dónde venimos cada cual y entender de dónde vienen las demás. Entender que ahora mismo pues, lo que estamos contando aquí parte de realidades muy distintas, ¿no? Y que no es lo mismo, pues en mi caso, ser mujer blanca europea que bueno, he tenido la suerte de tener formación y bueno, vivo en el medio rural, pero dentro de mi situación creo que estoy en una situación privilegiada con respecto a otras y entender que otras no tienen la misma situación que yo y ver cómo trabajar juntas, ¿no? Y cómo equilibrar o intentar equilibrar entre todas esa balanza, ¿no? Creo que eso es un reto porque muchas veces creemos que, bueno, somos mujeres y ya partimos todas del mismo lugar, ¿no? Y ni mucho menos, ¿no? O sea, dentro de ser mujeres hay bastantes diferencias. Eso por una parte. Y luego, a nivel ya de trabajo con los proyectos agroecológicos y la construcción agroecológica, bueno, nosotras trabajamos bastante el concepto, bueno, pedí perdón a las intérpretes porque no sé si esto tiene interpretación, de no hablar solo de viabilidad, sino hablar de vidabilidad, ¿no? Es decir, no solo la viabilidad monetaria, que es la que normalmente se pone encima de la mesa, sino que los proyectos tienen que tener tres patas, ¿no? Desde una perspectiva ecofeminista, al menos para mí, ¿no? Una es que sean viables, que nos puedan dar una vida digna en cuanto a recursos, pero otra es que tenemos que ser visibles todas las personas que conformamos el proyecto y también los proyectos agroecológicos en sí. Me parece un reto, porque ahora mismo el sistema nos invisibiliza absolutamente como proyectos agroecológicos y dentro de los proyectos agroecológicos como mujeres, ¿no? Y cada una atravesada por sus diferentes circunstancias, que depende de dónde estés, estás todavía más invisible, ¿no? Entonces, el tema de la visibilidad es otra pata importante. Y la tercera es que nuestros proyectos sean vivibles, ¿no? Que realmente no solo nos cuadren las cuentas del dinero, sino que nos cuadren las cuentas del descanso, las cuentas del tiempo, las cuentas de la conciliación, las cuentas del cuidado y el tener realmente, o sea, que la vida digna no es solo los recursos monetarios, sino y el balance de cuentas monetarios, sino también el balance vital, ¿no? Y ese es un gran reto, por lo menos es un reto que nosotras vemos mucho en las mujeres en los proyectos agroecológicos, ¿no? Porque a veces consigues que los proyectos sean viables la parte monetaria, pero no consigues que tu vida se sostenga, ¿no? Y que puedas cuidarte y que puedas cuidar. Entonces creo que son perspectivas que para nosotras al menos son un reto dentro de nuestros proyectos. Nada más. Gracias.
Vidabilidad, it's a wonderful word. So, Laura, and for you, the challenges of the work that you are developing, can you tell us slowly, please?
Yeah, so we're mainly working in rural villages with housewives that have never had a chance to work, that are unemployed. So it was definitely a very big challenge to get them to start working and leave the house and inspire them. But once we had a first wave of women and we had content, I mean, sometimes, you know, if you had all the money and resources in the world, you could create exchanges and have women meet other women and bringing them to this place and that place, and, you know, whether it's down the road or to another village. But unfortunately, sometimes we don't have those resources, and videos can have quite a strong impact if they are made in a farmer to farmer approach, so that they can, you know, understand and see other women. I'm not talking here about success story videos or documentaries. Like, these are for the purpose of training. And I was lucky because I was trained by the methodology of Access Agriculture, and I've taken that methodology and I've adapted it to my local organization to do, for example, these recipe videos. But it really, like, it opened my mind a lot, like, to the complex, like, how to do a training video with farmers. It's a completely different approach that maybe your typical media people wouldn't think about it too much, but people that are working in community development or extension, on the other hand, can learn to make video. So it's kind of, you know, working with people who have a passion for sharing knowledge and creating content that's relevant for people. So, for example, this is me and my colleague reading out a part of a voiceover for a video I mean, none of us are professional communication people, but sometimes you kind of have to read it out loud. It's not theater either, but it's just getting core messages out and then working with the women and kind of going back and forth, back and forth. So there is a challenge to produce quality videos for training purposes. I mean, this is something that you would integrate in a training or an outreach activity. Everything from the topic that you work on, that's making sure it's relevant, from the script writing and the research, finding people and places to film with. I mean, we always film with women and people that have something to share. Sometimes women don't want to appear on camera. Sometimes 5 years later, they want to appear on camera. You don't know what happens, but it just happens that one day they decide that they're okay with it.
Laura, I'm sorry. If you could just speak a little bit more slowly for our interpreters. Apologies.
Sorry, my apologies to the interpreters. I have that tendency. So like I said, the topic selection, preparing for interviews, getting the right shots so that you really make sure that you have a visual content for your video. You might have an idea for a video you want to do, but then you don't have the content. Making sure you've selected the right people and elements that can come up in an interview. And then finally, of course, the most important, the editing. We have been learning how to edit with the mobile phone. It's still a challenge. We've also been doing it with the women in the village that have smartphones. But definitely that's a cost, and it's time to think about it. And then another challenge, after we've gotten through the production of a video, is using the video. So how to integrate it in our outreach, our trainings, how to facilitate around it, so that you're really using the video as a way to show women, okay, let's see what this group are doing or how they're doing things. And it's more of like a discussion rather than, a top-down kind of thing, but just kind of opening a discussion with these women in another place. And lastly, what we all do in our development projects is monitoring the impact of a video. So having to go back and follow through and seeing, doing the focus groups and seeing, how things were taken up. And like a lot of the women loved the recipes that were shown. They really loved them and they were so excited and they tried all of them. And again, we were faced with the fact that the children at home still don't want to eat. I mean, there were a couple of things that worked, but they don't want to eat, sprouted fava bean soups with, jute mallow. They're not interested. So it's a very nice recipe. And we were like, okay, well, now we have the challenge of all the different kinds of videos we need to think about doing. I mean, we need awareness raising videos. We need the marketing videos to market our work. It's like video. And all of a sudden we realize we need like a media team, so it's a challenge because it's so important to communicate the work we're doing. We're all working on important issues that other organizations can benefit from if we work in the right way. And also using video and tools where we can really use mass media channels, for example, to change mindsets or promote agroecology and eating healthy and women's work. But yeah, we just learning slowly how to overcome that and learn how to use all these tools and channels that are available to us and that can really benefit the projects.
Thank you very much, Laura. And thank you very much to all. We're going into our third round now. And I will ask Christina to share inspirational stories and projects. But also first to our participants, please do write questions for our speakers, either in the Q&A or in the chat, because we'll have a couple of minutes to ask questions to our wonderful speakers. And I'll pass the word to Christina.
So I don't know if they are inspirational. So this picture is from this project that we have in Portugal in this territory. And this is one of the activities where we are trying to build cooperation between these women. So we organized a set of activities based on games that we did when we were children. And they were helping them to create this kind of connectivity. And this is one of them. Also in this project or during this pathway,
Tina, can you put your microphone closer to your mouth?
Yes. One of the things that we are concerned of how is the knowledge and these traditions and this richness passing through generations. And one of the families, the first picture was from a family where 5 women were still connected with the rural area. Well, the last one, the 5th, were still a baby, but the 4 generations were still connected with rural worlds and working at least part of their time in agriculture. So one of our projects was, or initiatives was trying to study families where at least 3 members of the family, including women, were connected with agriculture, and trying to see what kind of knowledge, what kind of value were they passing through the generations. Also, now we have another initiative that is starting with small farming. I don't know the word in English, but horta, so garden,
vegetable gardens, and the microphone again. Sorry, it's because I can't hear you.
I'm with the microphone in my hand. So we are trying to work with families that have small vegetable gardens near the urban cities and helping them to make this agroecological transition. I don't know if it will be inspirational, but probably in 3 years we will conclude that it was.
Thank you very much, Christina. Emmett, please. Could you share with us your inspirational stories and projects?
Yes, although there is no Agroecology Institute in Turkey yet, there is a co-op movement supporting CSA farms, community supported agriculture directly. There are a couple of different types of co-op movement in Turkey. One is semi-independent, one is government-supported, directly government-controlled co-op movement. This picture is from the Mediterranean region. The city is called Mersin. A group of academics have been leading this project. They have been kicked out of from the university because of their activities, minor involvement to the politics. They have initiated co-op, semi-independent, sort of autonomous co-op in Mersin area. They have worked with the municipality. The municipality gave a piece of land in the middle of the city. They have cleaned, and municipality has helped to clean, and it's about 4 hectares of the land, one of the land. And they have started selling their produce on the land at weekends, and they have opened a shop, and they have cooperated with some other cultural institutes called Kültürhane in Mersin. One of the women from urban background say that when we sell our lettuces on the land or at the shop, we feel really earned some money, even a small amount of money. They feel we have earned real money. Even we have worked as academics for the years and years, 30 years maybe. It was not tangible things. This is tangible. We are communicating with people directly and sharing our stories, healing ourselves in many ways. That touched my heart, how our movement, even in oppressed times, can be hopeful to motivate people and to heal people. Now there are more than 1,000 co-ops across Turkey, government-supported, government-controlled co-ops. Even the co-op structure is very bureaucratic, very hierarchical. Women are finding themselves in public spaces to express their voice even not directly, they are networking each other. Some conservative, mostly conservative women, but that still this moment gives me a hope to see women in expression of their own produce, and they are trying to know how market works, how money is controlled. Even they are opening their own bank accounts to support the family budget directly. It gives really empowerment to them. In future, hopefully in Turkey, with the right guidance, we can turn this transfer. I mean, there should be a really good transition, because these women have already started producing and speaking up for their own produce slowly. I can see hope for this co-op movement in Turkey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmett. Isa, please, could you share with us your inspirational stories, please? And to the participants, if you can share your questions with us.
Sí, bueno, yo he puesto, hay dos imágenes ahí, pero bueno, en realidad, habría más, ¿no? Pero así como algunas redes o algunos espacios que para mí son, inspiradoras, ¿no? Una es, aquí en el Estado español se ha generado una red que se llama Ganaderas en Red, que son mujeres ganaderas. Para mí es inspirador porque si hay un sector que viva o que trabaje aislado, ¿no? Es precisamente el de las pastoras y el de las ganaderas, y ellas han conseguido enredarse, ¿no? Han conseguido hacer red, primero desde una necesidad de apoyo mutuo, de contar con otras mujeres a través, en principio, de medios, pues poco más que un grupo de WhatsApp, pero eso ha ido creciendo. Y han encontrado espacios donde encontrarse físicamente 1 o 2 veces al año, tienen canales para comunicarse y para compartir, desde cómo hago una burocracia hasta cómo estás, ¿no? O sea, es realmente un espacio de cuidados también entre ellas, ¿no? Y también se ha convertido en un espacio para la incidencia política, ¿no? Para hacerse visibles y para tener su propia voz, ¿no? Y me parece súper potente, ¿no? Lo que están consiguiendo, ¿no? Aunque también me parece un poco triste, porque de alguna forma también evidencia que tienen que generar sus propios espacios, porque en otros no se han sentido acogidas, ¿no? Y ellas también lo manifiestan así, ¿no? O no han encontrado otros espacios mixtos, a lo mejor, en los que poderse sentir representadas, pero bueno, aún así para mí es inspirador porque han conseguido generar su propio espacio, ¿no? Y luego otro espacio que para mí es inspirador, sobre todo por lo que tiene de celebración, es un festival que se hace desde las diversidades sexuales, que se llama Agroqueer, y que es un festival que se hace todos los años y que, celebra las diversidades sexuales, y es un festival, ¿no? Y me parece que también buscar espacios de celebración, de encontrarnos y de reivindicar también desde la celebración, y es otra manera de visibilizarnos, ¿no? Que trabajamos mucho y celebrarnos también es importante, ¿no? Y creo que también desde lo no binario y desde las diversidades, desde una visión amplia, ¿no? Se están generando espacios muy potentes y muy inspiradores también, ¿no? Entonces, me parecía bonito compartirlo también, ¿no? Nada más. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Isa. I like that concept, Agroqueer. It's nice. Laura, please.
Just to start where we left off with the videos and the women, it was really exciting not only to see that people had integrated the recipes at home, but some women took the recipes, for example, the pickled lemon recipe, and turned it into her own business and started putting videos on YouTube and marketing herself. And we have different women who are kind of specialized in different products that we've met through these video sessions. We've reached over 300 women in the video session, but out of that, we kind of were able to identify the women that were able to continue, and they're continually inspiring us because they are coming to the kitchen, they're working together as a team from 3 different villages, and they're becoming friends, and their kids are becoming friends, and they're really learning to work together.
Laura, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but you need to speak a little bit slower, please. Just okay. Yes, I'm sorry, just for our interpreters to be able to translate. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This picture is a session delivered by a partner NGO that has also been inspiring and has become a very important partner for us, called Shabab Masr. And they have realized that also we have an outdated cooperative law. Most cooperatives in Egypt are, just for distributing chemical fertilizers. They're government-controlled cooperatives, but they're not cooperatives in that true spirit. So trying to, change the cooperative law would not happen. So what they have been doing is working with the models of cooperatives from Latin America and Europe, adapting them to the Egyptian context to form limited liability companies, but with internal regulations so that they work like cooperatives and offer farmers a way to organize in Egypt. So kind of using the legal structure that works here to get the work done, because if we keep waiting, we're not able to create movements and get people to work together. And so even if they're in small groups, it's just really nice to see that the women don't have to be limited to their village or their families to work, that they can work in a group setting, and we're basically facilitating them to decide how they're going to sell together, how they're going to work together, how they're going to set their salaries, which for me was incredible, very inspiring, because I'd never understood how can you set salaries based on, your experience, based on the actual work that happens. So we would go through these trainings over 21 days together, working through all of this. And the women are excited, and they're moving forward, and they will be doing their first collective bakery and kitchen projects during Ramadan, which is happening at the end of this month. So yeah, it's been an inspiring journey to talk about. We went for the tourism. Of course, tourism is volatile, and I think that COVID really, showed that for them, and so that they're really focusing now on working together and ensuring that they can continue their work at the community level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Laura. All your stories are amazing and really inspiring, and we have to thank you all for sharing with us. So we start now the questions and answers moment, and we have here a question from Lena, and she asked a question for Laura and another one for Christina. And if you don't mind, I will start with Christina because Laura just answered. Well, she just talked right now. So, Christina, for you, which tools have you found to be helpful when contacting with this woman? What has been making it easier to get in contact? You're muted. You're muted. And put your microphone
here.
Yes, and put the microphone here.
So, well, all the tools that we're using based on visual things, so like the social diversity map. Now we are going to use photo voice. I would say they are easier for them, and they like to do it a lot. We were with them 2 weeks ago, filming them singing and doing things, and they like a lot that. So I would say that everything that is based on visual things is much more easier than on training based on these formal things of writing and reading. Also, they have enjoyed a lot these activities that are practical. So we have organized, for instance, sewing course for them because they have asked us to learn how to sew by using machines. And that was a very, very good experience because they were learning things that will be useful for them together. And that would create also an environment where training is mixed with diversion, enthusiasm, happiness. So that was very nice. Also, they like a lot to show what they are doing. So these women are working with wool and linen, and they always want to show everyone what they are doing. So maybe building activities based on that is also profitable. I think it's enough because we don't have much time. The other part of the question was which tools and
what has been making it easier to get in contact?
Well, I think some of the other people said the same. So we started with 1 or 2, and then it takes a lot of time to get a lot of women working, but it goes mouse by mouse, and we have to be there with them and being there. Don't abandon the women. Continuously doing things with them for longer periods than what is usually possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Laura, and now the question to you is from Lena as well. Says, how has the women's reaction changed throughout time while you have worked with them?
Yeah, some women we've worked with for 10 years, others recently since 2019. So yeah, there will be many changes in the women that we've been working in for the longest. So I guess I'll focus on them at the moment. But I think, yeah, just to echo what Christina was saying, just being there continually, always there talking, and the exposure and getting them to travel and meet people and other people coming to travel to meet them. Yeah, the confidence it builds, because, you know, at the beginning they're like, oh, we're just housewives, we don't know anything. And we're like, no, you're not allowed to, this is not allowed to be said anymore, you know, like let's just get over that and let's like just talk, you know, head to head here. So there are obviously some women that just need a daily work, like a daily pay. So they want to come, get paid for their day and leave. But what's happened recently is, I think with the nutrition, the video shows, because before we used to have the nutritionists do the video shows, and then our team, we learned how to do them, and then we did that with the team in the kitchen. So it was kind of like, yeah, now this is your program, you go for it, and you're managing the kitchen, you're the kind of key points here. And now when we have events and, you know, we have issues with cash flow, we're all putting our cash flow together. So it's not just, you know, us, it's also the women. So I definitely think that when you have that kind of collective investment, I think that the reaction has definitely changed. We couldn't have imagined that 10 years ago. Yeah.
Because it's with people, it's people, not projects, and the switch has to be that, right? So now a question I will ask Emmett first to comment the question of Anna. And she asked, what are the main critiques that you receive, and where the major supports came from to your work?
I'm an independent researcher. So I'm not belong to any institutions. My main critics in ecofeminism, agroecology movement, even not very visible in Turkey yet. How to politicize women is really important to me. Otherwise, these all wonderful, delicious things and very aesthetic things may disappear very soon, especially in Turkey. I'm really into criticizing patriarchal capitalist society, consumer-based society, how women are objectified and their overburden, not only double burden our women have, especially rural women in harvest season and plantation season. They have triple burden, their gender roles, cultural norms, required to do many work together. They don't have really a space to heal themselves. They are keeping themselves very busy. How to make our voice very clear in mixed gender spaces, to go through an egalitarian way of gender roles is important to me. Otherwise, a group of women are doing wonderful things, and next year or a couple of months later, their husbands or even brothers, even their male sons or whatever, they start criticizing how their mom can go to the public spaces, what she is wearing, how she is behaving, why she is laughing and smiling. So these sort of things are really serious to gain our freedom in every step. Politicizing women in feminist politics is important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Emmett. Emmett has asked Isa actually that she would explain to us a little bit more about this Agroqueer festival. So Isa, please, could you share a little bit more with us about the festival that you presented before? Thank you very much.
Sí, bueno, es un festival que se realiza en una pequeñísima aldea rural en Galicia. Se hace una vez al año. Y el festival tiene, bueno, tiene la parte de música, tiene parte de cultura, bueno, teatro, se hacen un montón de actividades y para visibilizar las diversidades sexuales en el medio rural, ¿no? Y claro, directamente no se vincula con la agroecología, pero claro, lo que estamos viendo es que cuando trabajamos en agroecología, la agricultura familiar ya no es solo el único marco en el que trabajamos, ¿no? O también tenemos que resignificar la familia, ¿no? Entonces, cada vez empieza a haber más proyectos que van al medio rural con otros modelos de familia, y el generar espacios en aldeas rurales donde se visibiliza esta diversidad, pues es muy potente, ¿no? Porque del festival no participa, o sea, participa la gente de la aldea y se está convirtiendo en un referente, ¿no? O sea, para personas que viven en el medio rural, para encontrarse, para intercambiar y bueno, o sea, y encima es divertido, ¿no? O sea, quiero decir que se hace de manera divertida y suele ser un fin de semana, creo, y bueno, y muy inclusivo, ¿no? Entonces creo que son espacios muy importantes porque ya el modelo tradicional de familia, bueno, ya lo están poniendo en cuestión incluso los grupos de diversidad, ¿no? Dentro de la propia vía campesina, por ejemplo. Entonces, creo que este tipo de espacios, esa visibilización, ¿no? Ya no solo de, bueno, pues de todas las realidades que puede haber en el medio rural, son necesarias para los proyectos también desde la agroecología, porque sin esa inclusividad la agroecología se nos queda coja, ¿no? También. Entonces, bueno, es un espacio que realmente merece, si tenéis la oportunidad de bueno, creo que tienen voy a intentar compartir ahora, creo que hay una web, la voy a intentar compartir en el chat, pero realmente es un espacio pues inspirador, no solo como ese espacio, sino para nosotras también, ¿no? O sea, para generar espacios similares donde se celebre, donde nos divirtamos juntas, nos cuidemos y a la vez sean reivindicativos, ¿no? Y sean para visibilizarnos, ¿no?
Muchas gracias, Isa. So to finish, we will have a question for all of you that we ask you to, like a close remark, because we think that it will wrap up really well. So I will start with Christina first. So what changes do you see in the generations, the new generations now? Do you see any, it's easier with them?
Oh, the approach is completely different between young and older generations. So it's not I think it's not possible to answer your question. Younger generations have other goals, have other tools, have other skills, and have other problems and other desires. So it's not much easier or much difficult. We cannot say if it is easier or difficult or more difficult, because the situation is completely different. So I would not say I don't know how to answer that question indeed.
But they can help each other, right? The new ones and the old ones, they can merge.
Yeah, we have to learn with each other. We have to give space to the older, the younger. We have to listen to everybody. So we have to live in a world that is more open at each pace. So, but your question was if it was more difficult or more easy. So maybe we have to be able to learn to hear better what we are saying.
The question is more, what changes do you see in the new generations?
So they are disconnected with the rural world in terms of in the rural world and the agroecology. So they are more concerned with what they are eating, with what we are doing with the environment, at least in relation to ourselves. But then they are completely disconnected to what is happening in the rural areas. So even if they have better perceptions about the risks that we are taking, that we are living, they are much, much far away from not from us, but they are far away from the reality of the agriculture and rural world. So this distance needs to be shortened.
Yeah. Emmett, what do you think about it? What changes do you see?
In new generations? I think similar to Christina's explanation, some new women are really disconnected from their traditional cultural background through the modernity and urbanization. But there are also some young women are really curious to reconnect with their ancestors' land and how to grow food, how to process the things, how to involve into ecological movement to protect their land from the mining companies or hydroelectric dams. They are really curious to learn new skills, new cultural norms. They are really challenging. Like Isa has brought queer festival. There is a really serious LGBT plus movement in Turkey as well. So they are challenging the gender issue as well. So especially in Kurdish speaking area, there are really hopeful moments in Turkey. So it's coming from the young generation. It's really hopeful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmett. Isa.
Bueno, yo creo que aquí lo que estamos viendo es a las nietas, bueno, nosotras decimos que somos las nietas, ¿no? de quienes quedaron en el medio rural, ¿no? La generación de mis padres, la gran mayoría emigró del medio rural al medio urbano, algunos a otros países. Y digamos que cuesta con su generación intentar rescatar sabiduría, porque ellos muchas veces no la valoran tampoco, ¿no? O sea, ellos son los primeros que intentan alejarse de lo rural porque les han enseñado que eso es lo que, bueno, que lo bueno está en otro sitio, ¿no? Entonces sentimos un poco que hay una generación, bueno, la mía y más joven también, que quiere volver al campo, pero hay una sensación como de ir a contrarreloj para poder compartir espacios, ¿no? Con las abuelas. Muchas veces empezamos a apreciar el conocimiento y esos espacios cuando ya o se nos han ido o están a punto de irse, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, estamos un poco ahí en modo contrarreloj, o esa es la sensación, pero lo bonito es que hay ese interés, ¿no? Entonces estamos como buscando de dónde sacar esos conocimientos para poder rescatarlos y también adaptarlos, ¿no? Porque yo creo que es importante conocer lo anterior y ver cómo lo adaptamos a las realidades actuales, ¿no? Y me parece que bueno, que es bonito, pero a la vez es un poco frustrante el darnos cuenta a veces tarde de lo que, bueno, de los conocimientos que hemos podido perder por el camino.
Muchas gracias. Laura, and what about you?
Yeah, I echo Isa totally. It's things are kind of upside down. And especially like some of the women that we work with, they're kind of like stuck between two generations, actually. It's not just, I mean, it's their children and then their parents or grandparents. They still have that memory of taste of certain dishes and tastes of, you know, like the fermented foods or the, you know, like the difficult tasting foods that their own children are like, no, I can't eat that. That's horrible. That's this, that's that, you know, or harvesting certain wild plants in the field. You know, they're delicious, but like it's aib, it's impolite to do that, you know. So there's just some conceptions that are interesting because yeah, there is that generation of knowledge that is going, but then there's that generation that's kind of in the middle because at the end of the day they need to feed their kids, and if their kids want hamburgers, they're gonna make them, you know. So yeah, it's I think it's difficult, and it's important that that we open that discussion. Yeah.
So much. We have to finish. I just want to thank you all very much for being here, for sharing your histories. It's a problem, or it's an issue. Discrimination of women. It's an issue that it's invisible most of the time, and we've started. Now it's becoming more and more in the projects, in the ideas, in the initiatives. So it's really good that it's happening more and more. And you have brought 4 different stories of work that has been done, and it's very valuable, and we are very thankful for having all of this experience with us. Carlotta, I don't know if you want to say something.
No, I just want to thank everyone, all of our speakers and the interpreters as well. They've been here voluntarily, so thank you very much for joining us. And yes, thank you for sharing your experiences, your perspective. And I think that's it. And thank you everyone for attending as well, and for asking questions.
Yes, I just want to thank also Urgency and Sam for being in the backstage.
Yes, Sam,
Yes.
thank you very much.
All of this.
Invisible Sam.
Invisible Sam, that was a precious, precious person. And so I hope that everybody has enjoyed. We have learned a lot, and we will leave here today. Tomorrow it's the Women's Day, but today we start talking more and more about it here. So happy Women's Day for everybody, and see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.